moving to the country. I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. Peaches come from a can. They were put there.
Welcome to the Real Podcast, Everything Real Estate. My name is Bryce Bingham. I'm a local real estate agent here in Southern Idaho. I'm here today with Dan Wise. Thanks for being on, Dan.
Thank you.
Had him on before. It feels like he's probably going to be a regular, but it all works out. Today we're going to talk a little bit just about being a real estate agent and becoming a real estate agent. And my first question is, do you feel like, is real estate for everyone?
No.
Why not?
Well, you have to be a person that doesn't need a paycheck every Friday, first of all, because it comes and goes.
Yeah.
Over a week or a month, you may feel like you're not making any money, but if you look at it over a year, it's a pretty good job. So you have to have that mindset. You have to be able to think on your feet pretty quick. You have to be good with people, and you have to have some, not a ton of computer skills, but some.
Yeah.
You have to be able to write an email and fill in forms and stuff. And so it's not really for everyone, but I like it.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about this last night. I'm like, yeah, anybody pretty much can get a real estate license. I got one. You got one. You know, I mean, so we
You
pretty
don't
much
have to be super smart.
yeah. But in order to be successful at it and to truly like help people, you have to have a certain personality and have to be able to do certain things. Like you said, you have to have a few computer skills, but not a ton.
No.
And if these ways are kind of going away, but I mean, if you have a good front office person, a lot of times you can get around that, even the computer skills.
Oh, okay.
We're
We're not getting around our front office.
Yeah, no. You can even be a little bit worse at it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because they'll correct you.
Yes. That is one thing I always tell people here. New agents, even older agents, we won't let you make a mistake. Meaning somebody's going to look at what you're doing to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, it's
is,
supposed to go through two sets of eyes always, and ours always does.
Yeah.
It always.
But in today's world of huge companies, the agents are on their own. They do their own uploading of their listings and things like that. They have nobody helping them, nobody looking at what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference with us.
Yeah, and you can usually tell when you get the paperwork from those agencies. You're like, oh wow, this is
terrible.
I saw all the mistakes, and that's not saying a whole lot.
You know who you are.
Right. That's it.
And we make the same mistakes. They just get caught.
Yeah.
By Camille.
Yeah, she's great at it, and I'll tell you what, it makes me make actually probably less mistakes knowing that it's going to go through her eyes, because you're just going to have to change it and do the paperwork over it anyway. So might as well get it right the first time.
I'm a miss line 143 every time.
Yeah, and which one is that?
I don't know.
That's why you miss it. Yeah. I want to just really quickly, in case anybody's thinking about it, I want to go through the steps of how to become a real estate agent.
Okay.
You take there's two modules, and you take module 1, and then you take a test for that. And once you pass that test, you move on to module 2.
Yeah.
You take that test, and then you study a bunch, and you go and take the state and national test, and you usually flunk that. And then you take it again, but
it is a hard test.
It is. I mean,
and they've made it harder. I feel like it's a reading test where you could know the answer, but the way it's worded, you're going to get it wrong. You know the concept, you know what it means and everything, but
Dan's getting
Terry,
a call.
I'm not taking your call right now, Terry. Anyway. You need to respond to calls from local lenders.
Except for when you're doing the podcast.
Yeah, no. And anyway, it is a hard test. And so most people don't pass it the first time, but.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing I've noticed, even since I started, we have to take our continuing ed. And even that's become a little bit harder. It's become easier in the fact that it's more accessible to us and we do it all online if we want to. But it's the tests they're more like because I did go to regular college, but the tests are more like that, like which answer is the most right.
Yeah. There's a science to the test. There's two. It's a multiple choice, 4 answers, and 2 are completely out of left field. And then there's 2 answers that are kind of right. One's more right. So you have to choose the most correct.
Yeah.
And so, if you kind of know the material at all, you're down to a 50-50 chance right off the bat, because 2 of the answers, like I say, are going to be clear out of left field. So, I mean, but you got to read it. You got to, and they've made it a little bit harder, I think, just to weed people out, so.
Yeah, they don't want everybody just going out and trying to sell real estate.
Right.
So, and then there's a couple additional steps. I mean, you have to get fingerprinted. They do a background check.
Right.
You can't have felonies.
Right.
You have to be over 18, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, you basically, it's different than like a regular job. Most of the time, you can choose a brokerage. You go talk to them. And usually it's not necessarily a hiring process, but you go on.
Well, so it's a pretty good system, I think. So at first you get your salesperson license.
Yeah.
And you have to work under another broker who's experienced, who's been doing it for a while. You can't just go out on your own and start your own company with a salesperson license. And then so after you've been in it for 2 years and have a certain amount of sales, I think they changed the amount. Oh, it's 15 transactions, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because it used to be $2 million, and it's a little bit easy. One sell anymore.
So I think it's 15 transactions within 2 years, and then you can take the broker's exam, and you have to take 4 classes, which are actual real things. They're not fluff classes. There's like law and finance and stuff like that. And so that's one thing here. We really push people, Bryce, to become associate brokers, because you have a higher level. You've learned more, and so anyway.
Yeah. So then after that, I just kind of put in my notes, be the best agent you can. And that's kind of what we're here to talk about a little bit today.
Yeah. So one thing is like return calls, so even if you can't like talk to somebody.
And so he's talking about being the best agent you can.
Yeah. And so I'm going to respond to Terry right now to give an example. I'll call you right back. And things like that. Respond to people quickly. This is one thing Bryce and I talk a lot about. It'll sound a little weird, but if you feel like you should call somebody, maybe you have nothing going on with them, whatever, but you just need to check in on somebody.
Yeah.
You pick up these feelers.
Yeah.
And call them, touch base with them. It doesn't even have to be about real estate. Just how's it going? Whatever. But there's a lot of details in a transaction that have to be covered. And you have to stay on top of them,
Yeah, and Dan's great at that, and that is one thing he's taught me, because I'll have those thoughts like, I should get a hold of so and so, and I'm like, no, am I just going to be bugging them, And then I overthink it and I don't do it, and next thing you know, they're like, hey, I bought property through so and so, and you're like, oh my goodness, you're glad for them, but at the same time, you're trying to feed your family.
And then like one thing that. Local people have local knowledge. And so people will come from out of state or whatever, and you have to school them up on, why you don't want to live downwind of the sugar factory or something like that,
Yeah, we have a couple places here in Jerome that they're getting better, but they get smells every once in a while. But and some people care about that sometimes. They find a house and they're like, hey, I love this house.
Yeah,
it smells once a month. Who cares?
We've warned them, and we can, tell them about the weather and things like that, what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it's going to blow in the spring.
And the summer and fall and winter.
Yeah. blow a lot. So. Yeah. So one thing that I've found and I figured out, hopefully finally, is the consistency is man, you have to be consistent, because I kind of took 2 years off there. I mean, I was an agent, but I felt like I needed to maybe spread out and do some other stuff, which I think was right for me to learn. but anyway, I ended up doing a handyman business, and but I wasn't consistent in my real estate, and I'll tell you what, those slumped. And
Yeah.
the other thing I didn't do, because it's almost the opposite, was I didn't answer my phone like I should. And that was because it's the opposite in the fact that you don't get any work done in what you're doing there if you answer your phone all the time. So I'm like, okay, I got to answer it. I'll answer all my calls at noon and at 5 or whatever. But in real estate, that doesn't work.
No, because they've moved on to the next person.
Yeah.
The thing I like to say, it's like you have a favorite restaurant you go to, and you have your favorite, server at the restaurant, whatever, and you go there and you're hoping to get that person, but if they're not there, somebody else is, and they'll take your order.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they will.
that's the same with real estate. So you have to be prompt. you
Yeah.
know, So
Yeah. No, I totally agree there, and I always work on it, and I'm getting back into it and better at that.
And the thing that I never can understand is, and this is just me venting, is if you have like somebody's called you or sent you a text or whatever, and you're thinking like, oh, I'll get back to them, this evening or something, then that's ticking around in your brain all
Yeah.
day long. And I want to itch that. I want it out of there.
Yeah.
I want to get it done and move on.
Have a little bit of peace.
Yeah.
No, totally. So one thing that I've learned, and we don't all like doing this, or we might like to do this in different ways, is being in the public. And you hate like events and stuff. I know, yeah, you don't like to go to real estate dinners and stuff. But tell your story of being in the public.
Well, I mean, I've worked in the public my whole life,
Yeah.
but I don't, and you would think that real estate agents are super outgoing, people, and
Yeah.
we may pretend that we are, but most of the time we're not.
No,
So we
I
have to
mean,
force ourselves to do that stuff. And so one thing that was really successful for me, my son Daniel, he played a lot of sports.
and this is
growing
kind
up.
of what I was getting
Yeah.
at. is-
He played a lot of sports growing up. And so I realized pretty quick that if I sponsored the baseball team or whatever that he was on, then all them little kids are running around with Canyon Trail Realty on the back of their shirt.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing I ever did for business. I mean, it really, and I didn't have to bother people or anything, but pretty soon they would figure out who you are and they come talk to you. How's real estate going? Whatever. They always, want to know what the rates are, what's going on. People always they come to you and start talking about it, and away you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things that I know that Dan was good at. Is going out to baseball games and stuff.
Oh,
like
that's
that.
how I got Bryce. Yeah.
Yeah, that is after 8 years of bugging me, finally got me. But now he's probably wishing he didn't. But
Be careful what you ask for.
so one thing that I've always struggled with is advertising myself, and because I worry about what people are going to think about me, like oh, he doesn't really want to help us with our transaction, he just wants to get sales himself, which is true to a point, because it's a business, you have to feed your family. But I do care about people and whether they get the right house or not. I know you do, because I've seen you kind of talk people out of houses. There was one a few years ago that you had one. You were really afraid that the place was going to flood.
Oh,
it was totally down a hill, and you're like,
it's in a bowl.
you
Yeah.
should not buy this because it's
Every
flood.
direction you look is uphill.
Yeah.
It's going to be. Yeah, I do. I worry about stuff like that. If it's a good fit.
So, is there anything else that you can say that would help you probably be a good agent?
Well, I mean, kind of my standard fare, and Bryce has done the same thing. Real estate has been a really good fit for me.
Yeah.
And I was able to go to every one of my son's games, and go to every golf match, whatever. People will usually work with you, hey, would you look at a house then, and whatever. It always worked out.
Yeah.
And so it was good that way. It's a job where you can make pretty decent money.
Yeah. I think one thing
it's a lot of freedom. These things give us a ton of freedom.
Yeah, you can work anywhere.
I've sold a lot of houses up at Sun Valley skiing down the hill.
Yeah.
And your phone rings and you pull over, and You know,
Yeah,
talk it over and away you go.
I feel the busiest I ever am, and I feel like everybody kind of feels this way. Is when you're on vacation.
Yeah,
Like it feels
yeah.
like your phone never
Yeah.
quits ringing. It's
Yeah,
like
I
I should
sold
go
it.
on more vacations.
I sold a house in Switzerland.
Anyway, to wrap it up, I mean, real estate can be a great gig for
Mhm.
a lot of people.
Yes,
and
it's a fun job. You know,
you have to work at it though.
yeah,
I mean,
you have to. That's one thing. You can't just get your license and sit at home and think the phone's going to ring.
Yeah,
You know, you got to come to the office. You got, because it's like here we're thinking about real estate. We're talking about real estate. We're doing real estate.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's a good job. I like it.
yeah, and it only takes a week, I swear, of not advertising to lose 2
Right.
months of business.
Right. Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
be
you-
kind of consistent. I like to have my truck badged up a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know, then you have another car that's not badged up if you're trying to go incognito or
Yeah.
whatever. But it helps, I think. You know,
If you're gonna speed and
I had my truck really badged up for a while, and Bryce's son Xander Bingham told me that I looked like a dork, so I did tone it down a little bit.
he'll do it. He's a pretty honest kid.
He told me he's the only one that cares about me, so he toned it down.
Yeah,
I like the way I have it now.
So I had my car badged up pretty good, and then I switched cars, and my son took that car, and he's like, "I'm not driving with that on there," and so he took it off. Plus, I had some guys that badged it up for me. Put
Yeah,
a
your
mustache,
buddies put a mustache
put a
on,
mustache on me. It was
Yeah.
sweet.
So you have to keep a, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You have to have some kind of presence on there, I think. And
Yeah.
it's free, so why not?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So
And I don't think you have to. They have all these paid versions, but I don't know that they help any. We used to do a lot of boosts, and it's like
Yeah, I don't
sometimes
think
you
that
would get
helped at all. Yeah.
you know 1,000 people just on your regular and 50 when you boosted it, and it's like, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
but anyway, to sum up, like I said, you know, real estate's not for everybody, but it can be a good gig. I know that it's been good for me. As long as I've worked at it, I've felt a little stress on the fact that I'm not good at, and I've mentioned this on other podcasts, I'm not great at managing my money and saying like, okay, I have, you know, X amount of dollars and I need to stretch that out because I may not have another sell. But I think a lot of people do that. But yeah, it can be a great
Yeah.
living and a lot of fun. But again,
And you have a lot of freedom. You know, I mean, there's another thing I tell people: if I'm working with somebody and just not jiving with them, I hand them off to Bryce.
yeah,
Vice versa.
usually not. He jives with about anybody except for people that are really rough. And he's like, "Hey, Bryce, you want to?"
with some people, you know, you are.
Yeah, that's going to be his new.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, so what I'm getting at though is it's an enjoyable job. You work with people you like, and you don't have to work with somebody you don't like.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's huge. Life's too short to, you know, deal with a jerk.
it's the same thing. We give them that same freedom. As,
Yeah,
as
they don't have to
They
work
don't have
with
to work with us. I mean,
Right.
yeah. I mean,
Right.
we like to think of ourselves as not jerks or mean, but they may think that. I don't know. They may
Yeah.
think, you know, Bryce his head's too big, or
It's pretty big.
it's pretty big. But you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to work with us. But hey, thanks again for being on, Dan. We'll probably see more of you. It's been a little bit harder to get people on than I thought, but Dan's always a good sport, and I appreciate you being on.
Thanks, man.